welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we are about to get back on this Tahoe. It is, what is today? Wednesday. It's Wednesday morning. So we have destroyed the shop. You can probably see in the background at all the dust. Actually over here on that side, you see the little feet prints right there coming around the jack. I am sick of body filler. I have slung so much freaking body filler over the past couple of weeks that it is ridiculous. You can see my two big projects back here taped up. We got in primer yesterday, the Jetta, the door, train wreck, and the body work on that, and then the frame pull one. So we got them in primer yesterday, Tuesday afternoon, and we are finally, I'm gonna get back on the Tahoe today. Eddie's out because he's having to get his mouth worked on this time. All that sugary stuff that we eat. So it's like all of a sudden it just caught up with us like that. So we ain't been had no issues with the dentist in a while. Now me and him both getting teeth work done. So I guess that's a good thing. But I basically got to shop myself this morning. Mike will be in later on. I think we're going to try to work on the trailer, get the hinges done. I'll put a video up on that. And we're going to try to get these fenders on the front of this thing today. I'm going to get these fenders removed. I'm going to show y'all a couple things in case you're completely new to auto body. There's probably millions of YouTube videos on how to change fenders on all kinds of year makes and models. But I'm just going to touch on a couple things. It's not going to be a how-to video, and we're going to make some more progress on this thing. So let's get at it. So first off, I want to show you what you're probably used to whenever you hear the term, fender on a vehicle. So normally on a vehicle, you have the fender that bolts onto a structure, okay? So you have the structure of the car, and then you have the fender that bolts onto it. That's how most vehicles are. If we walk back here to our scrap metal pile, this is what a fender looks like on most vehicles. I'll just show anybody that might not know. That's what a fender looks like normally on a vehicle. It's just an outer skin. All right, and then compared to the car fender, see this is a truck fender or a GM SUV fender. It's a whole big piece that is the whole entire side front of your vehicle. So when you buy these and it's been in a wreck, you can unbolt the hoods, you can unbolt the fender, you can unbolt the header panel. And as long as your frame rails are good, you can replace the whole firewall forward very easily. It's not hard to take all this apart. I mean, it takes a little bit of time, but that's what I like about these is when they get hit in the front, as long as your rails aren't damaged, you can literally bolt a whole front end on it. Whereas a car, it can mess up the inner structures, and then all that has to be pulled with a frame machine. So front end hits are definitely something you could do at your house yourself as long as your rails are good to go. So that's our damaged fender. We're only going to do one side at a time because there's so many nuts and bolts and clips laying everywhere. And we're going to grab the ones out the booth that we painted the inside of it and put it on there and see how much tweaking and stuff we have to do to get it lined up, because if you remember, them were damaged in shipping. And this bracket also can be replaced. So this bracket unbolts right here and the whole thing comes off, and this is what bolts the front of your fender on and your hinges. So even if this was damaged, like this literally just unbolts right off the vehicle. So I mean, I should have actually taped that off for paint, but again, that goes back to me not caring. So let's get the other one on. Flip this fender upside down. I kind of wanted to compare this where we thought we had that kink at the other day. And on the factory fender, there is kind of a kink right there. So you can kind of see that that's kinked out. It doesn't look right at all, does it? It looks like, it shouldn't be like that. But you definitely have the body line right there. And then I guess that body line just goes all the way right there. That's what that is actually not a kink. It's a flat area now that I see it. This is all flat. And then this is a body line with a 45 all the way around it. So our other fenders, I'm thinking, I still swear that they are bent a little down here, but I don't think they're going to end up being as bad. So you can see that our kink definitely looks worse than the other side, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as we thought. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm putting the camera down. I'm actually going to step on this right here, and I'm going to try to rock the fender that way. and just knock that down, you know, get that to go down a little bit like that, so that you can always, I'd rather it be down too low and then the bolt suck it back up versus it be up too high and then I got to fight with to get it down. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and then stick it up there and see if it hits anywhere else. Remember, this was an area that I hammered back straight and I was worried about, so we might have to do a little bit of banging on that. Besides that, we'll see what else hits. Let me see if that right there, yeah, see that? If you compare your other fender, this piece right here should be pretty much straight off of everything, whereas this one is kicked in a little right here. So we need to just take our hands and just bend that back around. That's very, very easy thin metal. So we need to just bend that back around and put that back on. I think the only thing that bolts up right there is your inner fender anyway. So you could put it on the vehicle and always do that when it's on the vehicle. But besides that, we'll see what other issues we run into. All right, so we got it on. It really wasn't that bad, y'all. I mean, y'all know I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I've showed you everything that's wrong and I've told you everything that's ugly, and every single time a mistake was made. So, I mean, I have no reason to lie. All of this is on, and as you can see, we still have that kink kind of in there. I mean, I think that's just how these are designed. I mean, I have a bolt in there. I don't have it all the way pulled up tight, but there's a bolt in there. All of our bolts are in our sides. All our bolts are in our sides right here. I put some tape on here to protect the paint from getting scratched, because what I do in this situation, kind of like with my black car, if y'all learned anything from watching me work on black cars, normally what I like to do is I like to scratch the paint like that right there with sharp things. Is normally I scratch the paint, and then if you scratch your paint first, then what that does is remind you that you need to put yellow tape on there to protect it. So normally that's how I do stuff, is normally I paint items and then I go to put them together, and then I scratch stuff and then I put tape over it to protect it, so that the scratch doesn't get scratched. That way your scratch is nice and pretty for the rest of its life right there, and it'll always be remembered. One issue that I can go ahead and see now that we need to go ahead and get up is, you see how this is at like a 90, okay? Like it's, you know, horizontal, and it's up here with the metal or the plastic piece. This one over here is definitely squished down in shipping, and I think we talked about that in the other video. But you can see how low this one is. So this corner right here should be approximately like right here. So, and they shouldn't be, yeah, it's not, you can see right there, moving it. It's not that strong at all. So I need to just get some kind of little pry bar in there. So you bust out your construction tools back from when you used to frame for that guy named Earl. And you just take a pry bar. Don't scratch your paint on the bottom, so you gotta be careful doing this, and don't put lots of dents in it like that right there. How you put little dents, so don't put like dents all in your metal. And you'll just pry that up and get that where it looks about like it's at a 90. And then you're gonna have to just let that be until you get your hood. Once your hood's on here and you close it, then the height of the hood, you can then get up here with your hands or something that's not gonna damage your metal, and you can pull up on that. So, I mean, if you want to do body work, like I like doing body work, so you go ahead and put dents in there. That way you can skim this out with a little bit of dolphin glaze. When you skim this out, you can see our two right here from shipping. That was from shipping, and then I added them just now. But that way you have a little bit more to do with your dolphin glaze, and you can slick all that out. Make sure you mess up a couple things on yours. That way when you're doing a customer job, if you have a shop and you do the customer job and you take your time and you do everything correctly, where you do put the tape down first and all that kind of stuff, and you don't try to cut corners and skip, if something accidentally happens to go wrong, when you purposely mess yours up, you're kind of training yourself for what to do when you truly accidentally mess up a customer's vehicle. That's just how I look at it. This is all a joke, by the way. Somebody's going to probably take this and be serious. I'm just a little more careless with my stuff, and a little more reckless, and not as careful with customer stuff. We go above and beyond to make sure nothing gets scratched or damaged or whatever. I'm actually really OCD with Eddie and myself with customer stuff to make sure it doesn't get scratched. Even when we're clipping a front bumper into a vehicle on a new one, we tape off our fenders so we don't accidentally scratch anything. So this is just all, it's a salvage title, beat up Tahoe. Y'all know how much I have grinded and worked on this thing. This is my stuff. So just laugh and let's keep it moving. Let's finish this fender up and go to the next one. Start taking apart this side, and it's just crazy the stuff you see. So I said, okay, well, we'll check the air filter real fast. Watch this. Look at that. crumbling. I bet this is the original air filter in this vehicle. That is crazy. People just flat out, I mean, that thing's supposed to be white. People just flat out don't do maintenance on their vehicle. Look at that. I mean, you would think this is from the freaking 1800s. Guarantee you that's probably the original filter off of this vehicle. That is ridiculous, man. But people aren't the smartest. Keep breaking. I'm gonna keep breaking this one down. On this side, you got to take the air box out. You got to undo your coolant overflow, move it out the way, and you got to get your battery out of there. So I was just taking the lid off, figured I'd check the filter because I figured that I would probably find that. Normally this thing just pops out like that. So let me finish taking this side apart. All right, so there's what your passenger side looks like. And if you need to do spark plugs, if you just bought one of these and you want to go ahead and do your plugs and your air filter and all that, now's the time to do it because, boy, you are right here at it. I mean, you are literally, you can sit down. There's the plugs right there. So now is the freaking time to do it. If I knew that everything was solid on this, I'd probably be doing plugs, but I still haven't drove it 100%, so I'm not gonna put plugs in it. I'll just fight with it later if I need to do it. So I don't think I've actually ever put plugs in any vehicle that we bought for ourselves. Well, often for a while we weren't even keeping long enough to even do an oil change on them. No lie, I was literally buying them, fixing them, driving them, never changing the oil. Because a lot of times if the oil was up to date. Now if I bought it and it needed an oil change, or I didn't know when it was changed, like there wasn't a sticker in there or the vehicle didn't tell you, and I didn't know when it was changed, I would change it. But I never actually had to do my first maintenance oil change on anything. No air filters, nothing. For the longest time, I never had to do any maintenance on any vehicle because I didn't keep it long enough. Haven't done brakes on a personal vehicle in over 10 years because a lot of times when I get them, it's just been a luck of the draw. They don't need brakes, and I turn around and sell them before they ever do need brakes. So the vehicle world to me is unique because I fix a bunch for us. We go through a lot of vehicles, but I don't do no maintenance on no vehicles because I get rid of them before it's time to maintain them. So anyway, that's what the front end looks like with the fender off of it. If you've never seen one, so pretty stripped down. We're gonna get this other fender thrown on it. All right, so we got the other side on. Feeling good now. I feel like I actually making some progress. It's nice whenever you have all of the damaged parts off the vehicle finally, and you kind of feel like you're at the top of the hill, and then you feel like you're coming down the hill on assembly. So even though the other door is not painted, it's like everything now for the most part is damaged is off the Tahoe. So it's a different feeling. I can't describe it until you actually start doing it. When you're looking at damaged parts every day and you still have to take these apart, find possible more damage, and put them back together, it's a good feeling when you finally get to that point of everything's off the vehicle. So I'm tired. I'm beat. Seems like that's the story of my life lately. It's tired. I just go too much, man. But that's going to be a wrap for today. So we are going to leave the inner fenders out of it. Inside your fenders, you have these little square where all of these inner fenders are cloth and they screw in. So everywhere a screw goes in, it has a square retainer that pushes up inside of there. So you got to make sure you take all your clips and all your little retainers out your wreck fenders. Such as in the door jambs, there's 2 bolts that go in like this. You got to take them clips off the old ones and move them over. Down behind the headlight, there's 2 clips on the fenders that have to be moved over. So you have to swap everything off of your old fenders to your new fenders, so the new fenders don't come with clips. They're tenorment clips. I learned that term from y'all on the race car, so I'll never forget that. So I've learned a lot of lessons with y'all over the past almost a year. It's been crazy. But let's see here. I told the wife to order the hood earlier and to call Mr. Glenn, our windshield guy, and order the windshield and maybe go ahead and get the headlights on. And then I actually told her to let's hold off. I'm still, like I said, still have nightmares about the frame being bent because that one wheel's out of whack. And if you remember the first video, how the steering wheel was crooked, sometimes that could be from the frame being bent. I wish if I could go back and do things over again, I would have loaded the thing up on the trailer in its wreck condition with all the seats in it and everything, and I would have got a wheel put on it and or put a full-size roller on it. That was a good one, not that busting one we had. Probably would have just ordered the wheel and took it to alignment before I did anything to the vehicle. So I'm a little nervous about that in the back of my head because if you follow the channel, you know that we've attempted to pull a couple frames. I put up one that we did a Silverado LTZ, and we had the frame red hot. We did a frame video, and we couldn't get it to budge on my setup. So I kind of know that if the frame is bent, it's pretty much the end of the road for me. All that work would be down the drain to an extent. It'd have to go back to auction, and then I'd hope I'd make about 10,000, 8 to 10,000 is what I would hope to make, and then it would be worth my time on all that work. But I told her let's hold off, and maybe what I'll do is get this thing to the house, get the interior cleaned out, and get the 4 doors put back on it, and get all of the seats back in it, and then shoot it over to alignment, get the alignment done on it, and if it aligns and checks out, then maybe we'll move forward with the hood, the headlights, the bumper repair, the windshield, and painting the front fenders. I'll probably go ahead and body work the front fenders and get them in primer, possibly. I'm gonna see how far they're off. I don't think they're gonna be that bad, but I don't want to be body working them too close to a fully assembled door. I don't mind painting a near fully assembled door, but I don't want to be body working near a fully assembled door. So what I could do now is put the door up there in its hole, check how this edge over here lines up, how everything lines up right here, and if it all lines up good, then before we plug in the door or assemble the door, we take the door back off. If it lines up good, then we can assemble the door. If it has any alignment issues where it needs body work, then what we can do is go ahead and pull the door shell back off, do our body work so we're not standing near a good door, and put it in primer, and then we can put our door back on. Now, the driver's door is going to need body work, so all of that's got to be checked. So either way, that side gets body work, but the passenger one's already painted, and if it lines up right, then we want to do the body work. So we're gonna have to decide what route we're gonna take with that, but we might hold off on finishing up painting and stuff until we get the alignment done. I'm hoping that when it rolled over, basically it jarred an A-arm and just moved an A-arm in. That does happen sometimes. Yeah, the only other options, if the frame is bent, you could technically maybe, I mean, this is like not the correct way, but it goes back to race car fab kind of, is you could cut the tabs off where the control arms mount up, and you can move the tabs out where it needs to be, and extend them, burn all that back in, weld all that back in, and you'd be good to go. As long as your spindle sits where it's supposed to sit, just like if you build a race car, your alignment will be perfectly fine. It don't matter what the frame does. So technically you could have a bent frame, cut tabs off, extend them 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch, because it's not gonna be much, and weld them back together. But I just hope to not even have to deal with none of that stuff. Or you put it back together like this, send it to auction, it no longer looks like a rollover, and now it just looks like somebody bailed out on it. A dirty thing you could do is enter it into the auction as transmission damage. Somebody would then think that all they got to do is finish up the work on the front end and put a transmission in it, and they'd be good to go. It blue books around $35,000, so if somebody gave $20,000 for it, they'd still be good. I paid $7,000 for it plus parts, so I'd make like $10,000. But you'd have to lie and say there's transmission stuff. I don't like doing that. The salvage dealer game is a dirty, grimy business across the board. It's dirty and it's grimy. The things that happen at IAA and Copart when dealers put stuff back in there. So we hope to just not have to even be forced to do that over money. But we'll see. Let's keep our fingers crossed that this thing aligns right out and it's nothing major, and that we can keep this thing moving, because we've come a long ways. This has been a long journey. So yeah, I did, when I was taking off the intake thing, or when I was putting it back together, I noticed there is motor oil in the intake tube. That makes sense if the vehicle rolled over. Obviously the motor cut off, it sat upside down until the tow truck was able to get it back over. A lot of oil probably went past the rings and drained into the top side of the motor. So when I go to put the new air filter in it tomorrow, I'll take the intake tube off and clean it all out, clean it up, spray it out with brake cleaner, clean just the tube up to get that out, and then once we get it through, once it checks off and goes through alignment, we'll do an oil change on it. So we can make sure we got fresh oil, it's correct level, and then we'll also run seafoam through it. So a lot of vehicles, and I'm gonna keep long term, I run seafoam through it. We've done that on the channel also, where we cleaned out some catalytic converters on a Malibu and got rid of a check engine light. So if you haven't been around for a while, I've got a ton of videos where I help people. But we'll be running seafoam through the upper intake, through the fuel, through everything, to just clean this thing out so that it's a fresh start for my wife, hopefully, and a nice running vehicle. Make sure there's no check engine lights, all that. So it's been a journey. Y'all been riding with me. We made it this far. Let's keep trucking. We're going to wrap it up for today. I'll catch y'all on the next update. This weekend's going to be working on the race trailer. We're getting stupid close to that. The race car is off getting wired. I mean, I've been busting my butt, and we are wrapping things up. So like, comment, subscribe, share, smash that bell button. That way you get the notifications for every day when we post a new video. Thanks, y'all.